Hello, everyone. Quarterback coach Todd Krieger here from Rhode Island, snowy Rhode Island. The Elite Football Recruiting Show on Face Network, Rhode Island. We had a big snowstorm Wednesday and Thursday. Got about a foot of snow. So any of you guys are living down south, you should be glad. Don't even think we're going to be able to train tomorrow. Just checked the high school turf fields, and they got about a foot of snow. So a little bummed out about that, but we'll do what we can. We'll be doing indoor quarterback training starting in January. For people who are listening to the show, don't live in New England, the high school football was pushed back because of the COVID, and Mass, Connecticut, Rhode Island are going to try to play their high school football in March. They're going to start practicing the end of February, do a shortened season of 6 games and playoffs. So hopefully that works out for them with the snow. Excited tonight. Last 2 times we've had college and high school coaches. This week we've got a high school quarterback, Josh Larson. He's a 2021 senior, and he's from Bishop Girton High School in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's a private Catholic school. And so we're going to have Josh on board, talk about his background. They actually had, unlike other schools in New England, New Hampshire was the only state in New England that actually had high school football games. So I believe his season had a 6-game season, and then did the playoffs. I think they lost in the first round to the state champs, which was Nashua North, I believe. We'll get more information from Josh. But Josh is one of the quarterbacks that I train. He's attended a couple of my events, so it'll be great to find out and catch up what's going on with his recruiting process and how that's shaking out with the COVID. It's just, unique times these days for high school football players to get recruited. On the flip side, this week was for the NCAA Division I programs. They had their early letter of intent signing days for high school players. So we're talking about the top football players in the country. Alabama. Turns out Alabama had the number 1 recruiting class this year. They finally took back the first place spot from Georgia. I believe the rivals rankings were Alabama had the number 1 recruiting class. Ohio State had the number 2 recruiting class. LSU number 3 class. And I believe number 4 was Georgia. So pretty exciting for a lot of top level 5, 4, and 3-star athletes who the COVID really didn't affect. Were getting recruited and signing letter of intent. Locally, in Rhode Island, we had a defensive end / linebacker signed a letter of intent to go to Notre Dame, and he went to Bishop Hendricken High School, a Catholic high school here in Rhode Island. So that was very exciting. Rhode Island doesn't have that many FBS. We're the smallest state in the United States. So we don't have that many FBS. But Bishop Hendrick has been a fantastic job. I think this is 3 years in a row that they've had an FBS player from their high school team go to Division I. For any guys who are draft beatniks, there's a player that was from Bishop Hendricken 3 years ago. He ended up going to Michigan. His name is Quiddy Pay, and he's a defensive end, rush end. And I see in some of the mock drafts, he's projected in the first or second round. So that's pretty fantastic for a Rhode Island high school kid. And then the year after him, there was a offensive lineman named Xavier Truss from Bishop Hendricken also, and he was signed with Georgia. So 3 years in a row, they've had Michigan, Georgia, and now Notre Dame. So it's kind of exciting. And then in Mass in general, there was I think his name was Lou Hansen, who signed with Michigan, tight end from Michigan. And so, and then there was a few players that Olson signed with University of UMass. So pretty exciting times for the high school football players, for the top level players. For some of the other players who are Division II or Division III, those don't typically sign in an early signing period. They wait until February. The first Wednesday of February is when the National Signing Day is for most schools. So That's going to be the date for all the high school guys who didn't get an offer. So from now until February is your chance to do whatever you can to get the coach's attention and get recruited. One of the things that we're doing, because there's no football in New England, is we're going to run a academic elite football showcase. Matt, if you could pull up that picture, we'll do a little promoting of my event. But we're going to do that. There it is. We're doing a high school football recruiting showcase over Christmas break on Monday, December 28th, indoors up in New Hampshire at the Hampshire Dome. And it's good for freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. Very exciting times. Got a great slew of coaches. I think we're at 22 right now, so it's pretty exciting. Looks like we're going to have about 80 plus players. We still got some openings left. So pretty exciting. So it's a chance to, if you don't have high school football, it's a chance to be seen by college coaches. I just started training a new quarterback this week, and he didn't even have a turnout. So I know I've talked about this last 3 weeks. So I'm going to talk about it again. If you're a high school football player and you want to play college football and you want to get recruited with COVID, you absolutely must have a Twitter account. Repeat, you must have a Twitter account. All right. That is where all the college coaches are recruiting now. They can't go off campus. Everything's virtual. All the kids I train with, all the kids that I work with, all my clients, it's the first thing we do is we review their Twitter account and review their huddle tape, because those things have to be on point. So when I talk about Twitter, I'm talking about you want to have your name, your position, your year, your school, where it's located. You want to have your height, your weight, and your GPA. If you have your SAT score and ACT score, put it up there. If it's a good score, put it up there. If you have any other accomplishments, maybe you're state champs, all state, all conference, track record holder in the 300 meters, high jump state champ, basketball state champs, anything that shows some success. Maybe you're a National Honor Society student. Maybe you got some leadership scholarship award or something like that. Anything that you can put up there to promote yourself, because you got to self-promote, because everybody's doing it. That's what they're for. The college coaches don't look on it negatively. It's no big deal if you want to brag on yourself if it's true through hard work. So, and then once you have all that, then you want to make sure if you're a starter, you want to have a huddle tape. And we talk about this all the time. The huddle tape is not going to get you a scholarship offer. So the college coaches are they know that you can delete all your bad plays, and so all you're going to show is your best plays. So they know that. So in your huddle, I specifically train quarterbacks. We only want to be about 15 plays. You want to have in your huddle your wow plays first. Maybe have 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it is. If you have 5, 6, 7, great, you're lucky. But for a quarterback, maybe you scramble around like Mahomes and then throw a 30, 40-yard touchdown. Or maybe you get hit and you break away and you score a touchdown. Or maybe you run somebody over. Or maybe you hand it off and you make a block for a touchdown. And then you want to be able to show the coaches, quarterbacks, you want to be able to throw short, intermediate, and long on both sides and up the middle. And have some ability to show some change, some direction. If you have RPO, show it. So all those type of things you want to have in your huddle, and it only needs to be 2.5 minutes. I was just talking to the recruiting coordinator 2 weeks ago at UMass Dartmouth, and he said, we never look at videos more than 2 minutes. The whole idea of the huddle video is just to get the college coach's attention. And if you're really impressed, he's going to follow you, click on you, maybe start getting a conversation with you. Okay, back on the flip side of the strategy that we teach at Academic Elite Football for all our clients on their Twitter accounts is, after you have your Twitter account, you need to have a list of 8 to 10 to 12 schools that it's your dream list. If you want more, that's fine. And then in those 10, 12 schools, you want to go into Twitter and you want to follow every one of those football programs. And then the next step is to follow that head coach for that football program. And then you want to follow your position coach for that program. And if they have one, you want to find out who's the recruiting coordinator in your area for your geographic area. If you live in New Hampshire, you want to find out who's the New Hampshire, maybe he does all of New England. Maybe he does, New York, Mass, whatever. You got to find that out. Your Twitter, you have to make it like your training. You got to put the time and the effort in to make your Twitter, be aggressive, be strategic, and use your Twitter as your main tool to get recruited. So again, go make yourself a Twitter account. All right. If you have any questions, you can find me on, where is it? Over here, down here, you can find my quarterback guru on Twitter. I answer all my questions. Reach out to me any way I can help. Love helping kids. I've been doing this now for 12 years. I've had 279 kids help get scholarships. So reach out if you need help. All right, Matt, if you want to go to commercial break, our first commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have quarterback Josh Larson, 2021 from Bishop Guertin, New Hampshire. Everybody, it's quarterback coach Todd Krieger, owner of Academic Elite Football Academy, here with our Elite Football Recruiting Show on Sports Fan Base, Rhode Island. So excited tonight to have quarterback Josh Larson, who is a senior. He's 21, from Bishop Guertin High School. It's a Catholic school in New Hampshire. Josh and I have been training now off and on for about a year or so. Josh, thank you for coming on my show.
Thanks for having me.
What's going on? I know.
Not much. Yeah, we got hit hard with snow up in New Hampshire too. Got about 15, 16 inches. So haven't really been able to get outside a lot this week.
Well, you did mention, and we talked beforehand, you're a skier.
Yeah. So on the downside, can't really do anything with football right now, but look forward to skiing in the times that I got off.
So for people who don't know New Hampshire that well, or tell us a little bit about your journey to go to Bishop Guertin, what Bishop Guertin's about, and what it's like to go to a private Catholic school.
So like up in New Hampshire, you don't really got a lot of like populated schools. Like once you go down to Mass, like probably like a 1,500 people going to school would seem like a small amount. Like my high school has about 800 kids. The town I'm from, the high school has about 700, 800 kids. So it's not like a lot of people. So you end up knowing like pretty much everyone in your grade. I was probably going to, I live in Pelham, New Hampshire. So I was probably going to go to my main high school, or wasn't, sorry. I was not going to go to my main high school because I just didn't think it challenged me enough academically. And my parents wanted me just to get the best out of my education. So they thought Bishop Guertin was probably the best. So people, like, when you kind of stereotype a Catholic school, like just because it's a Catholic school doesn't mean like, oh, it's a prep, it's boarding. Like you have to be an absolute perfect person. Myself, I'm not like super religious. So you don't have to be a hardcore Catholic to go here. You can be whatever you want. No one's going to judge you. But the school definitely, if you're going for sports, pretty much anything you want. It's a big lacrosse school, Bishop Guertin is. It's always them or another school in New Hampshire, Pinkerton. They're always in the state championship. Football, we just moved up to D1 about 6 or 7 years ago. We made the playoffs a couple times. We haven't really made our impact yet. When we were in D2, we were a powerhouse, I'd say. But since we got here, my senior season was our first year we made the playoffs in the time that I'd been here. And obviously because of COVID, it wasn't the exact way I wanted it to pan out, but I mean, we got a season, so I was pumped about that.
Yeah, you have to be pretty excited. Up in New England, everybody kind of knows what's going on in all the other states. It's kind of a smaller area. I mean, Georgia is like the size of all of New England.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you're aware you were the only high school playing fall football.
Oh yeah. Vermont has like a 7-on-7 league, and so did Maine, and like Mass probably started that later on. But yeah, New Hampshire was the only school I believe to have it. It doesn't. I think Connecticut started a little bit later, but it's not like completely organized high school football. It was like
Yeah, they tried to do a private football league within the towns, and I think they got like 1 or 2 games, and then the state shut them down.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure you're the only high school in the state that had like an official football program.
Yeah.
How'd the season go? What kind of offense you guys run?
So I think we went 2-3 in the regular season. We had 5 games. Obviously, we didn't really have enough time to prepare for that season because we weren't really able to get into pads until so late, and then it was rushed getting right into the season. We run mainly spread. I don't think we ran a single under center snap that entire season. I've never ran an under center snap. So it's always
really.
It never. Even when we did kneel down to win games, it was always out of the shotgun. So whenever if I had a good rushing game, the 5 yards always screwed up my average. It was mainly zone reads, I'd say, and then we have our typical the hitches, the slants, reverts occasionally, run the smash concepts. We ran a lot of rollout passes, and then
Did we lose Josh? Is he pausing?
Oh, am I back?
There he is. You're
All
back.
right.
Yep.
Where was I? It was to talk about my offense.
Talking about your ability that you guys do a lot of rollouts and throw on the run.
Oh yeah. So we had to simplify our offense a little bit, just like because we had lost a lot of starters. Last year we lost like 2 people, and then going into this year we lost 15 starters on both sides of the ball. So it was a pretty fresh new team. I was excited to see how it is, and I think that the people that are there right now are definitely going to be definitely going to make a name for this program. But yeah, going back to our offense, we had to simplify it a little bit, just get the ball where it needed to be, nothing too fancy. Yeah.
What for most of our listeners are based in New England because they didn't play, and I'm curious, what was it like trying to practice and have games with COVID? And how did that work out? What were the changes like?
Honestly, practice wasn't too much different. I think at the start when we weren't like in pads and stuff, like we couldn't really touch each other. We had to spread out our groups a lot. But once we kind of got into pads, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of protocols you can do because it's football. You kind of have to be near the person. We had face shields, I'd say. So that was probably the only thing that was different. During the games, I think the only difference was probably there wasn't a lot of fans, but honestly, when you think about it, when you're on the field, you kind of just block the noise out anyways. So you don't really notice that if there's a crowd or if there's not. There's always enough people to know you're being watched, but you just know, all right, there's not a lot of people here. You just got to focus on the game. So
yeah, I actually tried to come up and see your first game because I knew you were going to start, and I was very excited for you. It was the few places that had high school football, and I think you told me, and I looked it up, the spectators weren't allowed to come to the games. Is that right?
Yeah, it was only immediate family members. Supposedly, we were given tickets. I think it was 2 people for every person on the team. So I'd always give my tickets to my parents. But sometimes, if parents couldn't go, then some kids on their team would bring their brothers or a good friend of theirs that has just wanted to see them play.
Dude, I could have been your brother.
If I had more than 2 tickets,
So yeah, that's kind of different. So you're a senior. I don't want to get too far in because we're going to do a commercial break in about 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes. Did you start as a junior?
I did. So I was kind of, or I'd say my high school and career in general has been kind of rocky. So I went for quarterback my freshman year, and it wasn't really for me. I was just kind of naturally better at receiver. So I ended up playing that, and then I ended up getting a concussion, which knocked me out for my freshman year and my entire sophomore year. So going into my junior year, I had never taken a snap in a game as a quarterback. And the starter then tore his ACL in our scrimmage. So I was jumped into the rest of that game, did good. We ended up winning the scrimmage. And then that very first game was against they were a team that was in the state championship, Exeter. So that was my first quarterback experience, I'd say. And then I played a couple more games and then suffered another injury. And then I came back into this year starting.
So off and on. So just give me your personal, we'll go into more detail. And I know we talked briefly before, academics is a really important thing for you. I heard you say it before. One of the reasons why you went to Bishop Girton to challenge academically. Mm-hmm. How's it been for you during the COVID related to college recruiting?
So I'd say it wasn't exactly like how I wanted to plan out. Like I started my recruiting profile in May or June, and that's when I really started taking it seriously. I felt kind of I didn't feel like the best person blocking out colleges or ignoring them or just saying I don't really have a lot of interest in here. I want to make sure that I'm going to a good academic school, and I'd be fortunate enough to play college football, but I need to make sure I'm going to a place that is going to put me in the best line to succeed. And I feel like if I'm going to a school that has a average SAT of 900 or average GPA of 2.8, that's not going to cut it for me. Thank you for giving me the chance to play football, but I need it to be a good school. So I feel like be fortunate with what you're given, but in the end, it's your decision, and you need to make what's best for you and what's going to be best for your family.
I know you're a good student, but what's your GPA?
My GPA on a 4.0 scale is about a 3.65, so about 3.7. This senior year is definitely starting to boost it up. Again, with my concussion my freshman year, that kind of took a toll at my GPA. I ended up finishing a 3.2 or 3.3 my freshman year, and then I've just been slowly getting it back up ever since then.
Well, I'm sure you can tell the colleges there's a story behind that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Your GPA keeps ascending. What's your favorite classes? 3.7 is fantastic. I put you in the probably top 10%. What class do you like?
I'm a big math and science kind of guy. I don't really mess with lit classes. If I was to go to school, it'd probably be for chemistry. So most of the schools I'm trying to look at, I need to make sure they have good programs in that topic. If I wasn't going to go to chemistry, I'd probably do sports management just so I can stay involved with football as long as I possibly can. But yeah, definitely anything with the sciences or numbers involved is definitely where I'm probably going to end up with.
That's pretty exciting. Matt, let's go to a quick commercial break, and then we come back. We'll dig in deeper to Josh's recruiting and schools and the whole process that involves him as a senior during COVID. Hey, welcome back to Elite Football Recruiting Program, Sports Fan Base Network, Rhode Island. I'm quarterback coach Todd Krieger, owner of Academic Elite Football Academy. You can find me on social media, on Twitter on Quarterback Guru, and Instagram Quarterback Guru, and find me on Facebook. Do a lot of posting, trying to help kids out. I'm passionate to help high school players get into college. I love promoting academics. It's one of the reasons why I asked Josh on. He's got the right attitude about football and academics. He believes in academics. We'll talk about it in detail in a second, but he wants to go to the best academic college he can and possibly play football, but realizes he's not probably going to be in the NFL. So he's projecting for the future, preparing himself to use his education in college so he can go on to have a successful working life, and taking football and using it as a vehicle to help do that. So excited to talk to Josh again. Josh is a senior, a 2021 quarterback from a Catholic school, private Catholic school in New Hampshire, in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's called Bishop Girton. So Josh, let's start talking about a little bit about your recruiting process. You and I have talked. I've tried to help you some. Josh has attended 2 of my events. We had a quarterback wide receiver competition in August. I had a bunch of coaches there, college coaches, and then we did another showcase in Westerly, Rhode Island in October, and had a bunch of college coaches there. And Josh is going to be attending the one we have in New Hampshire in about a week. But talk about how it's been for you with recruiting during the COVID and being a senior.
So I'd say I probably started like my recruiting profile in about May. I got my first interest from Springfield College. They started sending me letters and stuff.
I'm going to ask you some questions.
Say that again. Hello?
So tell people about, when you talk about the school.
I think it's breaking up a little bit. Hello?
Did you hear that one? Did you hear my question?
It's cutting out. Can you repeat it?
Yeah. So tell people about what Springfield College is, what it's about, and
It keeps cutting out still. Right as you get to the question. What the heck is up with this? Oh, there it goes.
Josh, you back on?
Yeah. I don't know what's happening. Yes, I can hear you now.
No worries. Yeah, tell the people about what Springfield College is about for people who don't know, and what attracted you to that school and the whole process of being recruited.
So they hit me up about, they were the first school to hit me up. That school, it wasn't really big into chemistry, but it had the sports management, so I still focused on that. The school isn't like overly big. I don't really want to go to like a big name school that has like 30,000 kids. So Springfield seemed like a really good school for me. It's a good academic school. It's not too overly sized, and the football program they had there is definitely known for being one of the best in Division III. I think like the most interesting thing about that school would just be like how they work with the students and just how they set them up for success. And then being able to just go off and play football on the side is just a perfect combo for me. And then from there, I sparked my interest, and then I'd slowly start to get a little bit more colleges. And then obviously you have to expand your list. I think you're muted.
Springfield College?
Say that again.
We had a little difficulty there. Go ahead and
Yeah,
just repeat
yeah.
yourself when you were talking about Springfield.
About Springfield. So it's not like a overly sized college. That was definitely something that's big for me. I didn't really want to go to a big school. They don't have a chemistry. I don't think they're big on chemistry. They're not really big on sciences, but they have sports management. It's a really good sports management program there. So that intrigued me.
One of the top, yeah, one of the
The
top
football program they have there is definitely one of the best in Division III, and that intrigued me. I think just the overall like community is what I like the most.
So I know they have a really big sports training, sports management,
Mhm.
physical therapy there. How's the academics there?
I think the average GPA is I think about 3.2, or that was the at least that was for football. The average team GPA was 3.2, so you can see how like academic standards.
So that's one of the schools. They're in D3. Have you had any other schools reach out and talk to you?
Yes, I've had about, I'd say the overall number was about 20, a little over 20, I'd say. I've had one.
Really? That's awesome. Schools. Can I
Say
ask
that
you how I said that's awesome. What was
okay.
the method? What was the method of most of the coaches contacting you? You there, Josh? We're having some technical difficulties.
All right, am I there now? All right.
There you
So
go. What was the method of most of the colleges contacting you?
it was either by my email or by my Twitter. A lot of people say like,
wait, say that again. What was the T word?
Twitter.
Twitter. You heard me before. I tell them every week, Twitter. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah, my email or Twitter. I actually had set up a Twitter account before I'd even started working with you, so I was already on that game. But yeah, no, I can't emphasize. You need to make a Twitter. He's right. You need to make a Twitter. A lot of people say like, oh, it's going to be your head coach. You need to talk to your head coach if you want to play college football. My head coach hasn't done anything for me. So don't listen to what they say and like, oh, this is how you get recruited. Because unless your coach was a Division I football player and had 30 plus offers, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's just best to handle it yourself, I'd say. Leave it under your
Do you
control.
agree with me? You want to put your what's on your huddle? I mean, what's on your Twitter?
On my Twitter, let me pull it up. My Twitter.
We've talked about it, right? Your year, your position, your height.
So
you have a strong community.
So I have my high school, my grade, my credentials, so my height and my weight. I have my 40 time in. I have my GPA, and then I have some academic awards. And then I put my contact info. And then instead of like explaining all the stuff I've done in football, I'm just like, here's my huddle link. If you are interested, then you can go check it out there.
Now you talked about two other schools that we're going to bring up that you had a lot of interest in. And I know that's because you were at the showcase in Westerly, and I think Brian McCormick, the recruiting coordinator, you guys spent a little bit of time together. Is that one of the schools that you have some interest in? UMass Dartmouth?
Yeah, so I'd say my top three schools for if I was to play football are UMass Dartmouth, Springfield, and then St. Lawrence in New York. All good academic schools. But yeah, UMass Dartmouth, I'd say probably for football wise, translate to like what I can do the best because of their pass heavy offense. And I just feel like I'm a quarterback. I need to be able to throw the ball and just run whenever I need to.
Yeah, I know that because I know Dartmouth very well. I've put like 2 or 3 quarterbacks there. They are pass oriented RPO. They want an athletic quarterback that can get out of the pocket, can run and throw. So, you know what? I wasn't there, but I saw you guys talking. So when you were at that showcase and after showcase, you and Ryan, Coach McCormick, the recruiting coordinator, sat and talked. What was some of the things you guys talked about?
I don't remember the full conversation because it was a lot of the stuff that I'd like just talk about with the head coach when I took a visit down there. We kind of just talked about like how the season went and how it was going. He mentioned like what he was looking for. He mentioned that like how I was meeting everything and then what I could improve on. And I think that's how like most talks with coaches go, especially at like a recruiting event. They're gonna say like, "Do we like?" If they don't like you, then the conversation will be sweet and short. If they do like you, then they'll tell you what they like. They'll probably tell you what you should work on, and then just to be patient, I'd say.
Well, this is kind of pulling the curtain back. What did Coach McCormick say he loved you? And on the flip side, what did he say you need to work on?
So he definitely liked my arm talent. They loved my film. I think the stuff that I could probably work on would probably be the probably running out of the pocket. I'd say throwing on the run. That's all, and I'd say like that's always been my weakness. I usually am either a nice pocket quarterback and with like I can move within the pocket. But if I get out of the pocket, I'm probably, unless it's designed to get out of the pocket and pass, I'm probably going to get out and run. And I think I just need to be able to get my eyes downfield, make more than 1 or 2 reads.
Pretty cool. Do they talk to you about academics when you're talking with the coaches? Do they talk? Now, this is Division III, so they're allowed to talk to you, unlike Division I, which is FBS and FCS. Those college coaches aren't allowed off campus. So do they talk about academics and what it takes to get in there? And I know that in Division III, they don't list, for people who don't know, parents are out there that maybe not know, they're not allowed to offer athletic scholarships, football scholarships at the D3 level. However, they have academic scholarships and merit scholarships were similar to a football scholarship. Did coach talk about what it takes to get an academic scholarship?
Yes, so I think I had that talk a lot with their head coach when I took that visit down. They said I can get.
So so I'm sorry. Did you actually have a physical visit at UMass Dartmouth?
Yes, I did.
Oh, fantastic!
This was about when was it? It's a couple months ago. That's for sure. Forget when I had it exactly. Anyways,
That's all right.
yeah, they talked to me about. I think with my GPA, the higher it is, the more tens of thousands I can probably get off of the actual tuition. Making sure my SAT was good too. If I choose to submit that, I can get money off for that. And then they have like, there's a couple other scholarships that you can get, and I'll probably do for financial aid as well. So then, like, just making sure that you have enough stuff that pops out. There's always little kinks you can find that you can get money for.
Yeah, I know. In general, if you have a 3.0, there's different tiered of financial aid, and I mean not financial aid, but academic scholarship they give you. And I think if you get over a 3.5, that's the highest level. Did they talk to you about So they already knew that you were going to be fine academically to get in there. They didn't really.
Yeah, no, I didn't. There hasn't been any issue with the academic side, I'd say.
Pretty cool. So you had Springfield in Springfield, Mass. You had UMass Dartmouth in Dartmouth, Mass. And let's talk a little bit more detail about, you said St. Lawrence?
St. Lawrence and I think Ithaca, New York.
So
or somewhere
let's
around.
just talk, we'll go about Ithaca. Let's talk about St. Lawrence. How was that? Go kind of in detail how that process happened that you know, I get it all the time. Kids and parents like, what do I do to get recruited? So did that just come out of the blue? Did you send something out? How did that all come about?
Yeah, no, it's come out of the blue. I can't exactly I don't think I've had a coach that I've genuinely like reached out to besides like Division 1 schools. Division 3 schools have kind of flown in for me. I remember their coach sent me a Twitter or like a tweet DM, and they said, "Hey, fill out this like recruiting profile link." So I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'll do that." And then their coach hit me up a couple days later, like, "Hey, we really like your film. Do you want to continue the recruiting process?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all in for it." And St. Lawrence is a really good school up there. Good chemistry program, good business program. I remember their coach in about like the middle of November. I think I got their first phone call, and I think I've gotten one letter from them. And I think they're really interested in me. They'd be like, "Oh, we love your film. We love what you can do. You're an amazing athlete. You got the grades to do all this. You got the grades to do all that." And then for the showcase that's coming up, I'm not gonna. I don't really want to say like, "Oh, they're coming down for me." I just remember I talked about that showcase, and I then talked with the coach, and then it kind of happened. So I don't know if that was coincidence or just plain luck.
You just, it's the way I kind of view it. It's like a spider web, and the threads of the web, you just never know where they're going to go and it's going to lead you. Just this connection with social media. That's why I say your Twitter and being on social media, you just have to have it on point because you just never know. Yeah, St. Lawrence is in the CAC, correct? They play in that conference with, is that right? Middlebury and all those.
I believe so.
Yeah, so I know they're a great academic school, and I know they are coming. Let's just say it. They're coming to watch you. Come on, Josh.
I hope.
They're going to come. St. Lawrence coming to. This is the upcoming showcase. We talked about before that Matt put up the flyer up in because of the snow. It's got it indoors. Yeah, there it is. Thanks, Matt. Again, it's our academic league football showcase for colleges indoors at the Hampshire Dome on Monday, December 28th. Right now, we've got about 22 colleges coming, 22 schools coming. So St. Lawrence is one of them. It'll be great. Be kind of like our other workouts, showcases we've had, an NFL style combine, which would be great for you because you're super athletic, show your 40, 5'5", some of that stuff. And then we'll compete. We'll break up the quarterbacks and do that. So that's going to be exciting how you do. It's exciting that you have college coaches that are going to come to that showcase just to watch you. So I'm sure you'll do great.
Looking forward to
it. Pretty exciting stuff for you, Josh, considering you really didn't have that many varsity starts. Would you say you had 10, 12 starts maybe? And they're
not even. I think injuries is what's definitely held me out of it. That's definitely what's limited me. I think I've made about 6 or 7. But when you think about it, hey, that's a full senior year pretty much. And a lot of people that you see going around in colleges, they only get to start their senior year because they had a 3-year starter in front of them. And then when he graduates, you just get your time. So whenever I get a chance, I make sure I capitalize on it.
Well, that's how it's going to be in college too. Whatever high academic college you pick from, the faster you can learn the playbook so that from the quarterback's viewpoint, the coach will trust you and get a chance to get on the field. What was the Ithaca was also one of the other colleges that reached out to you. Tell us about that. Ithaca is in upstate New York in the same town. I actually been to Ithaca and Cornell in upstate New York. It's a beautiful little town. The schools are up on the hill. So tell us a little bit about Ithaca.
I was saying St. Lawrence. I thought St. Lawrence was in Ithaca, not Ithaca College. I made that.
So those are the three main.
I'd say,
the three main schools that you.
If I can get the only other thing that I'd say that would probably push that list to a little bit more is if I chose to go prep. I do not know how likely that.
Would you explain that? We talked about that last week. I had a prep school coach. Why don't you tell people who maybe aren't in New England, who don't know, what do you mean by a prep school?
So like for me, there's two options that you can do to go prep or boarding or whatever you choose. You can reclass. So I could drop down to like 2022, go to a school like Tilton or whatever, and just play my senior year again, assuring that I actually would start there. The other one would be to go to a college prep school, which would be either like a half year extra or another year that's like just straight like graduates, people who just graduated high school. So it'd be all 2021 people on a team. So like East Coast Prep's a good example. These are kids that are just graduating.
Bridgman Academy, East Coast Prep. I got both of them. So that would be another route.
Yeah, so if I chose to go there, then I feel like depending on how well I did, I might be able to boost my college profile even more than how I did in high school. I would say it's more of a financial risk, because if it didn't plan out well and I just ended up where I would have if I didn't go, then I'd probably wasted a whole year. So
well, there's no guarantee. You got to kind of sometimes roll the dice.
Yeah, it's a high risk, but it's a high reward, I'd say.
Yeah, I coached at a prep school that was a non-boarding prep school, and I probably put, I don't know, 20 plus kids into prep school. So there's pros and cons in much everything you do, and there's always no guarantees. So you never know. So Matt, let's go to another break. Josh, I want to thank you so much for coming on, for being our guest and sharing all your personal stories and your insights and sharing about the recruiting process. I'll see you in about a week up at the Handrail, and we can catch up, and hopefully all these colleges come through and you get all kinds of offers and decide where you want to go. You have multiple choices, and looking forward to seeing you again in about a week.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Hey, welcome back to Elite Football Recruiting Show here on Sports Fan Base Network, Rhode Island. Our channel is really growing. A lot of new things, exciting new things coming on board. The owner, Ron Roberts, Matt, my producer, is getting a promotion. Matt didn't even know it behind the scenes. I'm going to brag on him. He's going to take over operations. I think we're at 14 or 15 shows, and so our viewership is just blowing up. So blessed that they let me have a show. It's pretty cool. Get to talk about football every week and try to help parents and players get recruited. It's really tough now. It's very challenging with a COVID. Everything has changed. Maybe in 2021, if the vaccine turns out to be a working in a positive thing, and the NCAA views that, they'll relax some of the rules they have right now, and the recruiting can go back to the way it was pre-COVID. Never know. As of right now, though, the NCAA has put a ban and blacked out any Division I recruiting until April 15th of 2021. So that's FBS schools like around here, Boston College, UMass, Syracuse, UConn, Temple, Rutgers, all those schools. That's the FBS schools. FCS, which used to be called Division I AA. In here we have the Ivy Leagues, Harvard, Brown, Dartmouth, Yale, Cornell, Penn, Princeton. All those schools, they're not allowed to do any off-campus visits or having any on-campus events. Schools like the Patriot League, like Holy Cross and Fordham and Colgate and Lehigh, those schools, they can't have any off-campus recruiting or any on-campus camps. Schools like URI and the CAA, Central Connecticut State, New Hampshire, Fairfield, none of those schools can have any kind of recruiting. So all those schools aren't going to be allowed to do any off-campus or on-campus visits. So none of those schools can come to our showcase. They're not allowed by the NCAAs. The only schools that can go off campus right now and recruit are Division II and Division III. So you really got to be aware of your strategy and your technique for recruiting with these pauses. Hopefully in 2021, it'll go back to the way it used to be. For my quarterback clients, we talk about having a strategy. So say it goes back to the way it used to be for quarterbacks specifically. That's my specialty. We would have, even as a sophomore, I would have you start going to 4 to 6 summer camps, one-day camps at all the different levels of football. I'd have you go to like maybe a UConn camp because they have one, maybe Boston College, UMass for a one-day, half-day quarterback camp, prospect camp, a junior day. And then as your junior year, you want to try to do more. And then the year before your senior year, depending what your schedule is, you want to do as many as you can. And then hopefully by then you're starting to get some feedback from college coaches beforehand and start to target your visits. I mean, if you're a super smart kid and you're really a great football player and you're a quarterback, maybe you want to go down south and play you don't want to play in the Ivy Leagues, you want to play a little higher level football. Maybe you want to go to Vanderbilt or Duke, or to the Midwest, you want to go to Northwestern, or out to Stanford or Notre Dame. You really want to go to the top academics with the top FBS. You would actually get contacted by the schools and you go to a camp there. So hopefully that takes place again, that can start happening so that you can start going and attending those camps. And while you're there, you're going to find out right away, because in the past, I had kids go to a UConn camp and there'd be 50, 60 quarterbacks, and they put them into groups. And at the end of the training session, might be 2 hours, 2+ hours, the coach is going to name out 5 or 6 quarterbacks, and that's the guys they're interested in. And just the way it is. And a lot of times you have to understand they're kind of looking more for seniors than they are for sophomores. But if you're not selected to be in that group, and if you're a junior going to be a senior and you're not selected in that group, that probably means either that day you had a bad day or they don't have any interest. And so at that point, you have to accept that maybe you're not a Division I football player, and then drop down to the next division and go to one of those camps and repeat it. And if, again, you don't get any interest at that camp, then you got to drop down again. And then, I'm sorry, but that's just the reality. Football is a real life thing. There's no participation trophies in this, in the football world. It is what it is. It's very, very, very competitive. It's very rewarding, but super competitive. And you just got to keep finding out at what level you can play college football. And the colleges will let you know pretty quickly. On the flip side of that, the other thing that can really, really, really help you for your college recruiting is your academics. That's why I started Academic Lead. If you notice, I have a Yale football hat on. I put some kids into Yale. I put a bunch of kids into Ivy Leagues. I know the process of how to get into the Ivy Leagues, but academics will open up doors to some colleges that you don't have as much as your athletic skill. So if you can combination top academics and top football skills, it will open more doors for you and you'll get recruited more. And even if you can't play Division One, the better the grades, the more the scholarship money you have, just the more opportunities. So I know it's tough, but you've got to concentrate and do your grades, do your academics, practice your SAT scores, get your SAT scores up as high as you can, get your academics up as high as possible, and that will positively affect all your recruiting process. So anyways, that's enough about me about talking about football and academics. I want to thank again Sports Fan Base Network Rhode Island for having me on, having my show, Ron Roberts. Again, I want to thank Matt as my producer. We're probably going to take next week off. It's going to be Christmas. So we'll be back on the Friday of the sometime in January in 2021. So anyways, everybody have a great holidays. Be safe, be healthy. And I'm out for Elite Football Recruiting, Coach Todd Krieger. Thanks.